And thanks for staying with us here on the Citizen Report. I'm Jonathan Shannon. On this headline segment, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to still have the rundown of headlines, but I'm going to add a little bit more context, and particularly some of what I think it might be going on behind the scenes of current events. Again, this is the kind of thing where I just kind of present some of the circumstantial stuff, and you're going to have to be willing to come to your own conclusions. But so this headline segment, I'll just say right up front, is a little bit different than normal. A quick housekeeping note. The part with David and I both before and after this segment was taped last night on Friday, March 20th, 2020. I'm taping this headline segment here at just after 9 p.m. Eastern here on this Saturday, March 21st, 2020. So just a quick note of that because there have been some changes. Obviously, some of the headlines that I might read to you are going to be a little bit newer than yesterday, so I thought I'd clarify that before we get started. But on that note, first of all, I'm going to give you the rundown of the headlines, and then I'm going to get to what I think might be really going on behind the scenes. Again, what I think. And you're just going to have to come to your own conclusions. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at the headlines here from JohnBWellsNews.com. Again, an excellent news aggregate site, excellent alternative to the Drudge Report. If you aren't already checking out JohnBWellsNews.com, I highly recommend you do so. On that note, let's get to these headlines. From KSL. 5.7 magnitude earthquake hits near Magna, shakes entire Wasatch, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Wasatch Front. Obviously, this is referring to the earthquake in Utah the other day. And I should just clarify here that these headlines are valid as of Thursday. So obviously, there's some headlines here that are going to be a little bit outdated at this point. But obviously, enough of these are still current, so I'm going to still give some of these headlines to you. Continuing on here. Earthquake updates. Red Cross offers resources to Utahns impacted by earthquake. Also a headline from KSL. From Fox 5 New York, gas prices could hit 99 cents in some states due to coronavirus and supplies, expert says. And I'll just add this. I was actually just over the border in South Carolina, literally just an hour or two ago. And I paid personally $1.70. Obviously, there was that one case where actually gas, I think, hit 99 cents or so in Kentucky. And obviously, the gas station sold out of gas, understandably. Continuing on here. TrendingViews.co. What's up with this? Reporter in full biosuit, but camera guy in street clothes. See, folks? You see what I mean? You see what I mean? If you don't believe me, just go online and look at it. Just Google it. I mean, I don't think it's in this country because there's a sign behind him that would seem to be like a European do not enter, kind of like the Europe's version of do not enter sign, where it's just the kind of the generic circular sign with a kind of a rectangle, white rectangle in the middle. You get my drift? Well, anyways, yes. So a reporter was basically in a full biosuit, a blue colored one. The camera guy, just like a jacket or something, just normal attire, I would say. So that's why, folks, you got to separate fact. There is a threat with this virus. But there's no reason to fear about it because, again, the media, they stand to benefit from the fear-mongering. Of course, they'll say to your face they're not looking to put you into fear, but consider the product that's being churned out. Consider how fearful certain people are, and that should tell you a lot right there. Continuing on here. From the Epoch Times, Barr says FBI probing if foreign government responsible for HHS, I guess that means Health Human Services, cyber attack. From Washington Free Beacon, Ilhan Omar is her new husband's biggest client, public records show. From HNewsWire.com, banks are going to drown in an ocean of defaults. From Zero Hedge, Organized crime, robberies by suspects wearing virus masks reported across the East Coast. From True Pundit, pranksters replace Google's Democratic Party donkey logo with a rat. Yeah, I actually saw a screenshot of that. That was pretty. You don't see that happen too often, I'll put it that way. From the EpochTimes.com, Trump invokes Korean War-era Defense Production Act to fight CCP virus. Now, I think normally I would probably keep going a little ways at least with the headlines, but I think that's a good one to stop on because I'm going to segue from that to talking more about what I think is really going on behind the scenes, and the operative word of that phrase is what I think. What I think. Because a lot of this I simply cannot prove, but I do think it's important enough that I would much rather, because the news is breaking so fast, there's just no telling what's going to happen in this next week. So I feel like at this point I better tell you what I think, more of what I think than I might normally would, only because I think that you need to know this. And I'm going to be quite blunt here. I think that there are going to be mass arrests in the next foreseeable future, I'll say. I don't know the timeline. I don't even know to the exact scope of it. But it's becoming more and more plausible, I'll say, that this coronavirus thing was... I'm trying not to go off into the... I'm trying not to go down a rabbit hole here, but I venture to say I believe this is a bioweapon. I do not believe this is a naturally occurring virus. And again, what I think, not what I know, what I think, what I believe to be the case, that coronavirus is a bioweapon. How that bioweapon was engineered and how that came about, and whether this might have been a naturally occurring virus that was agitated, so to speak, to make it worse, I don't know. I don't even, and for all I know, it could be naturally occurring. But I'm saying what I'm thinking is that, okay? Because, and again, we're operating on a different sort of reality right now. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to say all this, because we live in a very unique time right now that I think that it would be better, you would be better served, I would not be doing as much of a disservice, if you will, if I just told you up front what I think and just allow you to come to your own conclusions. I tell you right here and now, what I'm fixing to say might be totally baloney, okay? But it might be totally true as well. And on that note, let me switch gears here to tell you about some, what I would say, circumstantial evidence, and you can begin to draw a picture in your mind of what I think might be going on. And I felt like I needed to kind of put all of that, that introduction to what I'm fixing to say here. I have in front of me a list of 21 names, and these 21 names are the names of recent, very prominent, major company leaders that have recently resigned, okay? Number one, of course, Microsoft's Bill Gates resigned on March 13th. Number two, UPS David Abney resigned on March 12th. Number three, Disney CEO Bob Iger resigned February 25th. Number four, MasterCard CEO Ajay Banga resigned February 25th. Number five, Salesforce CEO Keith Block resigned February 25th. Number six, Uber Eats VP or Vice President Jason Drug or something, Droigi maybe. I really don't know how to pronounce that. Resigned February 25th. Number seven, Outdoor Voices CEO Tyler Haney, resigned February 25th. Number 8, Consortium Cannabis CEO Jose Hidalgo, resigned February 25th. Number 9, St. Luke's Hospital CEO Christine, I'm not sure if that's Candio or Gandio, but resigned February 25th. And that, just to clarify, that's one of St. Louis's biggest hospitals. Number 10, JCPenney CMO Sean Ginsick, maybe, February 25th, resigned February 25th. Number 11, Bowers and Wilkins CEO Gregory Lee, resigned February 24th. Number 12, Bowers and Wilkins CFO Gideon Yu, resigned February 24th. Number 13, L Brand CEO Les Wexner, resigned February 20th. Number 14, Credit Suzy CEO Tidjane Thyme or something, February 13th. Number 15, MGM CEO Jim Murrin, resigned February 12th. Number 16, Aurora Cannabis CEO Terry Booth, resigned February 6th. Number 17, LinkedIn CEO Jeff Weiner, resigned February 5th. Number 18, Hulu CEO Randy Freer, resigned January 31st. Number 19, IBM CEO Guinea Rometty, resigned January 30th. Number 20, Match.com CEO Mandy Ginsberg, resigned on January 29th. And number 21, International Airlines Group, or IAG CEO Willie Walsh, resigned on January 9th. Now, most of these people have been in position of power in those positions of power for at least a number of years. At least, like at minimum, I'm seeing like, the lowest one that I see here is 2 months. Next closest one I see it right off the bat is 9 months. But you also have Bill Gates that was there forever. Disney CEO was there for 15 years. LinkedIn CEO was there for 11 years. So, I mean, where all of these are related or just some of them or not at all. I'm just putting it out there and I'm inviting you to draw your own conclusions, to think for yourself, and to begin to kind of formulate your own conclusions here. And on that note, let me tell you also, now I have not independently confirmed this, but this is from Reddit, and this is an account claiming to be This is Bill Gates, and the title of this thread is called I'm Bill Gates, co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, AMA about COVID-19. And this one of his messages said, quote, "The question of whether businesses should keep going is tricky. Certainly, food supply and the health system, we still need water, electricity, and the internet. Supply chains for critical things need to be maintained. Countries are still figuring out what to keep running." Now pay attention here. This is what he says right here that's pretty disturbing. Quote, "Eventually, we will have some digital certificates, let me continue, to show who has recovered or been tested recently, or when we have a vaccine, who has received it." Now, again, Bill Gates just resigned from Microsoft. I can't tell you why he resigned. I just don't know. But I don't know about you, but I find that pretty disturbing. Again, we're not supposed to live in fear, of course. But we're human, and we do have emotions. And I must admit, that's pretty disturbing to suggest that there's a thing he wants called digital certificates to see who's been vaccinated and who hasn't. And I'm telling you, folks, I don't know, but my theory is this. that there's two alternating realities going on right now. You've got the white hat, patriot, good guys operating. And parallel to that, you have the deep state black hats, or gray hats maybe, you might venture to include that, the bad guys on the other side. You know, you have the forces of good, the forces of evil, and they're going against each other. I personally think, and this is my hypothesis here, I think that there are sealed indictments, and you can call me crazy, but personally, I believe that there are a number of sealed indictments, and that we're going to see something big happen here shortly, in the coming days, weeks, or months. I don't know when. QAnon, I mean, he has said in the past, disinformation is necessary. And he also says optics are very important. So I think that President Trump, when he says that, basically he's kind of speaking in wartime language, referring to the virus. Now, I don't know about you, but when I heard that, when he basically said, you know, we will defeat this virus, and I'm gonna, as I talk here, I'm gonna try to pull up what he said so I can get that exactly right, what Trump said. But in essence, what I believe might be going on is that right now we are seeing the build up to the sealed indictments becoming unsealed, and I cannot confirm any of this right now. But I do believe that you're going to see a number of players get indicted, and you're going to see a lot of things change. Personally, I think that Trump is leading us down the path towards becoming a country with full sovereignty restored to our currency, because in case you didn't know, we have something called the Federal Reserve System, the Federal Reserve Bank, and that is neither federal nor a reserve for us. It is a globalist cabal. It is. It is. It just is. It's not money that's printed. It is basically debt instruments, if you want to think of it that way. It is not backed by anything than the promise of the American government, the federal government, to honor it. And yet, if you look at it, it says Federal Reserve note. So by definition, it is a Federal Reserve note. And I think that what we're heading towards is Trump is going to eventually put us on a gold standard. Now, how that will take shape, I don't know, but I do believe that's on its way. But I do believe there is a good chance we'll continue to see volatility leading up to that, with the markets, for example. Now, I just pulled up what Trump said back on March 18th, and I want to read to you what he said. And pay attention and remember, keep in the back of your mind what I have already said as I read this. Quote, and again, this is Donald Trump speaking. Quote, "I want all Americans to understand we are at war with an invisible enemy, but that enemy is no match for the spirit and resolve of the American people. ... Now, I want you to think for a moment what he's saying here. I want you to begin to try to put a picture together in your mind. Now, supposedly he's speaking to the virus, the coronavirus that is. But I want you to remember something very, very interesting. He says, but that enemy is no match for the spirit and resolve of the American people. What does that seem to suggest? He's personifying, if he was talking about the virus, let's just assume for argument's sake, that he was talking about the coronavirus. I think he's actually, in this case, talking about the deep state. Okay? Now, again, all I'm saying, think for yourself, okay? But I'm just putting out there what I believe might be going on. Now, remember that Q has said, if you've been following Q, or paying attention to Q posts for any length of time, he refers to this, all of this, as the storm. Now, listen very carefully to, of all people, the Irish Prime Minister. Listen very carefully to what he says. Quote, well, actually, I'll do better than that. I'm going to try to play this directly through my microphone here if I can. This is what the Prime Minister, which is the head of government for Ireland, this is what he says.
This is the calm before the storm, before the surge. And when it comes, and it will come, never will so many ask so much of so few.
This is the calm before the storm. Now, to me, that would seem to be plausible. Again, I believe the deep state is far and wide. For example, if you listen to X22 Report, Dave has done a really good job with conveying and doing his research. And what we know is the deep state is far and wide. It's not just an American issue. It is a global issue. There are deep states in just about every country, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that what we're seeing here is we're seeing a buildup to the takedown of the deep state. We know it was coming, at least on some level. And it seems plausible that this event is when they're going to take us all down. Think about what the deep state does. When they're cornered, they do false flags. Now, false flags does not mean that the event is fake, okay? But the intentions or how, for example, the media might report that this person that carried out, for example, a terrorist attack, that the person might have had a certain motive for doing it, when in reality it was quite something different. Personally, what I perceive false flags to be, it is basically where you have a situation which doesn't notwithstanding whether or not it's fake, it might be completely real, but the background of the story is not what's being reported. And in fact, so when you see like a school shooting, for example, the school shooting probably is just as real, or at least real on some level. It does not mean it's fake when you call it a false flag, for example, but it just means that the way the media is reporting it is not the way it was. Now, Trump said that basically that it's nobody's fault unless you go back to the source. Now, what does that suggest? Is he saying that the virus originated through some deliberate act? Could be. And I think now they want to say Trump is racist for calling it the Chinese virus. No, he's not racist. No, not at all. In fact, why? If that's the case, if he was a racist for saying that, then why aren't they calling just about every other person racist for calling the West Nile virus the West Nile virus? Or why are they not calling people out for calling Mexican food, Chinese food, Italian food, etc.? Folks, I'm telling you, you've got to stop. If you watch the mainstream media, fine. But always have a filter in your head, what you could call discernment, to say, to filter through information from the mainstream media, okay? And I think personally, and I can't prove this, but I think that Trump might be sending a message. Now, I don't have the soundbite in front of me, but Trump did say, basically, the virus is nobody's fault unless you go back to the source. Most people overlooked that. It was just like, kind of went over a lot of people's heads. I think he was sending a message right there. I think the deep state put this out there, and how that happened, I really just don't know. Okay, but let me wrap this up. I personally think, and I'm going to, in the headline segment in future episodes, I'm going to try to trickle out more information. I'm not going to just dump it all on you in this one. But understand, there are a number of people at play here in the deep state. And actually, to kind of put a bow on this, let me tell you this. This is from the half-brother, I believe, of Obama. And I believe his name, do bear with me one moment. Yes, there we go. This is from March 20th, so just yesterday at 10:31 p.m. Malik Obama, at Obama Malik, and keep in mind as I read this, that QAnon has referred to all of this entire operation as the storm, the takedown of the deep state. Malik Obama says, the storm is coming, eh? EH question mark. I think he was sending a message right there. And keep in mind, Malik Obama, now I'm going to be very careful what I'm fixing to say here, because this is going to really push some buttons with certain people. But Malik Obama back in 2017, again, keep in mind, this is Malik Obama's half-brother, okay? He bears the same last name as Obama. He's the half-brother of Obama. Back in 2017, also on Twitter, on March 9th, 2017 to be exact, he posted a picture with the caption, "Surely, period. What's this?" ? And below, it shows a picture titled Coast Province General Hospital and whatever town it's referring to. And then it says British Protectorate of Kenya, Certificate of Birth. And it shows the certificate number. And then it shows child bearing and I think it says the name, Barack Hussein Obama II. And then it's got everything below that. Now, I can't prove this. Now, people have said that that's been proved as false. It may or may not be false. I don't know. But I can tell you this. I find it very interesting that just last night he posted, the storm is coming, yeah? And then you go back to what the Irish Prime Minister has said. This is the calm before the storm. And there are some pictures of military trucks in Los Angeles, I believe. I believe there was also something may have been, I don't know if it was Baltimore or New York or both. I'm not exactly sure. But I believe that to go back to what I was referring to about the false flag situation, I believe that these orders that were sent down to have people basically, these restaurants close, I believe that a lot of this, and I don't know if all of it is for this reason, but I do believe at least some of this has to do with trying to minimize if the deep state tried to do a false flag, in other words, a terrorist attack for with different motives than the media would report it. You don't have a lot of large gatherings, okay? And I think that it's plausible if you put all of what I just been saying together here. I think it's plausible that what we're seeing is the build-up, the final countdown to the takedown of the deep state. Some have even said that the internet, the TV, might go out for like 3 days. There's something called the 3 days of darkness where they may have to take down the internet, phone. And I'll just tell you this, it's my hope that the Citizen Report can continue uninterrupted, but if for some reason there was a nationwide or at least a regional outage of the internet, don't panic. Understand that may very well be the Patriots basically blindsiding the deep state as they take them down. And I think that we'll have to see how this all plays out. But I do believe it's interesting that QAnon did say, and I don't have the quote exactly in front of me, but I can remember the essence of it, where he basically said that Obama, once all has been revealed about, basically, I'm guessing he's referring to treason charges, that Obama will claim Kenyan citizenship as a way to escape. And remember one final thing, what QAnon is. And by the way, you can look at QAnon posts at qmap.pub. That's a website, a web address, and I'll spell it for you. It's qmap.pub. And QAnon is supposedly someone higher up in the government with a Q level clearance. I personally think, as do others, that it's not one person, but it's a group working as one, as Q. And in the past, there have been posts that are signed instead of with just Q, it's Q plus. Q plus is supposed to be Donald Trump himself. At least that's what it seems to be. So my point being is this. We might just be seeing something building up in the final countdown to something going on here, a major operation. And do understand, if things happen, don't panic. The Patriots are in control. We will survive. We will thrive. In America, I think the best is yet to come. Just like Donald Trump said, the best is yet to come. He keeps saying that, and I think it's more than just one reason that he says that. And I think that the gold standard is coming back to this country, where instead of a fiat printer press kind of currency, we actually have a restoration of a gold-backed currency. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. If you have any questions about what I just said, feel free to reach out to me on any of the platforms I'm on, or send me a direct message however you wish, and I'll do my best to help you out. I'm always interested to helping somebody. I'm not that great with articulating Q-related stuff, but I'll certainly do the best I can, whether if it's QAnon stuff or any news-related item. I will certainly do my best to help you. And with that, thank you for listening to the headline segment here on the Citizen Report. Now let's go back to David Heller and myself, Jonathan Shannon, for the close of the show.